I need to tell you something uncomfortable. For years, I recommended omega-3 supplements to patients worried about memory loss, confidently, because that's what the research seemed to support at the time. 5 days ago, a new clinical trial came out, a real one, published this month, from USC's Keck School of Medicine, that made me stop and rethink that completely. If you've been taking fish oil every morning hoping it's protecting your brain, I need you to see this too, not because I want to scare you, because the actual data is more interesting, more nuanced, and honestly more useful than the headlines about it have been. Here's the bottle. Same one a lot of you probably have in your kitchen cabinet right now. And here's what the researchers found when they stopped asking people how they felt and started actually measuring what was happening inside their brains. I'm Dr. Marcus Cole, neuroscientist and physician. I want to be clear about something before we start. I'm not here to tell you supplements are evil or that the wellness industry is lying to you. I'm here to actually break down what this new study found, because it is more nuanced than omega-3 does nothing and more useful than most of the coverage has made it sound. Here's what we're covering. First, exactly what this trial found when researchers measured omega-3 directly inside people's brains, not just in their bloodstream. Second, why it appears to have worked for some people and done nothing for others. Third, what the Mediterranean diet research actually proves and why a capsule can't replicate it. And fourth, what to actually do, starting today, regardless of what's currently in your supplement drawer. If you've ever wondered whether something you take every day is actually doing anything, this channel exists to answer exactly that question with real, published science, not marketing. Subscribe. Let's get into it. Here's what makes this trial different from most supplement research you've heard about. Led by Dr. Hussein Yassin, director of USC's Center for Personalized Brain Health, the trial didn't just ask participants whether they felt sharper. It directly measured omega-3 levels inside brain tissue using cerebrospinal fluid sampling in cognitively healthy older adults with naturally low omega-3 intake. 200 and some participants, 24 months, randomized against placebo, and the supplementation worked, biologically speaking. Omega-3 levels in red blood cells rose from 4.9% to 11%. Levels in the cerebrospinal fluid, meaning the fluid directly bathing the brain, rose 17% within 6 months. The omega-3 got where it was supposed to go. That part is not in question. Here's the part that should make you pause. Despite that confirmed brain uptake, there was no improvement in cognitive test scores, no difference in hippocampal volume, no difference in cortical thickness, no reduction in brain cell loss in the regions most associated with Alzheimer's, regardless of genetic risk status. Dr. Yassin put it directly. Even when we saw high levels of omega-3 in the brains of the treatment group, it did not improve cognition. So if you've been taking this every day and never noticed a difference, you're not imagining that. The data backs you up. That's not a small thing to hear after years of taking something on faith. Now here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because it didn't work is not actually the full story. Dr. Yassin and his team pointed to something specific. Factors like overall health, dietary patterns, and genetic risk appear to determine how the brain actually processes omega-3 once it arrives. The capsule getting into your brain tissue is step one. What your brain's metabolic environment does with it afterward is a completely different question. And that's where most of the variation comes from. I had a patient years ago, I'll call him Robert, who ate fast food 5 days a week and took a premium fish oil supplement religiously every single morning, no exceptions. He genuinely believed he was covered, that the capsule was cancelling out the rest. He wasn't covered, and this study explains with real data exactly why. Think of it like trying to fertilize a garden that's sitting in compacted, lifeless soil. The fertilizer is good, the fertilizer is real. But if the soil underneath can't actually use it, chronic inflammation, poor vascular health, sedentary metabolism, the fertilizer mostly just sits there. It got delivered. It didn't get used. That's not a reason to feel like you wasted your money if you're generally healthy and active. For people with good baseline metabolic health, the research is more favorable. It's specifically for people expecting the capsule to compensate for an otherwise unregulated system. That's where the evidence says it won't. Not because the omega-3 failed, because it was never going to be a single fix for a multi-system problem. Here's the comparison that the supplement industry has never wanted to make too loudly. In Mediterranean populations, where higher omega-3 levels are genuinely associated with better cognitive outcomes in long-term studies, people are not popping capsules in isolation. They're eating real fatty fish 2 or 3 times a week. They're walking constantly as part of daily life. They're sitting at a table with friends and family for 2 hours over dinner, multiple nights a week. Chronic stress, by comparison to a typical Western routine, is structurally lower. Dr. Yassin's own framing of this was direct. Omega-3 works as a strong predictor of brain health in that Mediterranean context. But popping supplements on top of a typical Western pattern of fast food and minimal activity does not deliver the same outcome. In other words, the omega-3 in that population isn't operating alone. It's riding on top of an entire lifestyle that's doing most of the actual work. Exercise, social connection, low stress, real food. The fish oil is one ingredient in a much larger recipe. Take it out of that recipe and isolate it in a capsule, and you've removed it from the exact environment that made it effective in the first place. Turns out you genuinely cannot bottle a culture. Believe me, the supplement industry has tried repeatedly for decades. What actually moves the needle isn't the molecule by itself, it's the system the molecule is operating inside of. And that system is something a capsule was never going to replicate, no matter how high the dose. So what do you actually do with this information? Not throw away the bottle in a panic. That's an overreaction the data doesn't support either. If you're generally healthy, reasonably active, and you want to keep taking your omega-3, there's no real harm in continuing. The researchers found adverse event rates were essentially identical between the treatment and placebo groups. It's not dangerous, it's just not the protective shield a lot of people believed they were buying. The actual shift is this. Stop treating the capsule as your primary defense against cognitive decline and start treating it, if you keep taking it at all, as a minor supporting actor in a much bigger production. The researchers themselves were explicit about what that bigger production needs to include, addressing physical inactivity, vascular health, and the other modifiable risk factors simultaneously, not sequentially. Not first I'll fix my diet, then maybe exercise. Together. As one coordinated system, because that's how your brain's metabolic environment actually responds. That's the real headline buried under "supplements don't work." It's not that nothing works, it's that nothing works in isolation, including the things people assumed were the easy, isolated fix. Here's the actual protocol the current evidence supports. 3 layers working together. Layer 1, real fatty fish, twice a week. Salmon, sardines, mackerel. Not a replaceable by capsule source, an actual food eaten in a meal alongside everything else that meal typically includes. Layer 2, consistent movement, 150 minutes per week of moderate aerobic activity. Across the dementia prevention literature, this single factor has some of the strongest standalone evidence of any modifiable intervention, stronger on its own than omega-3 supplementation has ever shown. Layer 3, regular social connection. Genuinely underrated and consistently associated with lower cognitive decline risk in long-term population studies. Not a nice to have, a measurable protective factor in its own right. Fish, movement, connection, together. Not as 3 separate boxes to check, but as one coordinated system, the way your brain actually processes input. If you want this entire framework mapped out day by day, so the real nutrition plan, the movement protocol, the complete picture beyond what any single capsule can offer, it's all inside the Brain Reset protocol. The link is in the description. It's also pinned in the first comment below. This isn't about replacing a $40 bottle of fish oil with a more expensive one. It's about understanding that your brain was never going to be protected by one ingredient working alone. And finally, having the complete picture instead of the isolated piece. I want to be honest about timeline here, because that matters more than sounding impressive. This is not a fast result protocol. This is a reposition of expectation. You're not going to feel sharper next week from eating more salmon. What the research actually supports is weeks to months of consistent movement and real food intake before you notice genuine differences in energy and mental clarity. And the actual cognitive protection this is about is a long-term outcome, not an immediate sensation. That's a harder sell than a capsule promising results in 30 days. It's also the truthful one. I made a mistake for years, recommending something with more confidence than the evidence actually supported. I'd rather tell you that directly than pretend I always had this right. You don't need to throw away your supplement bottle today. Just stop expecting it to do the whole job by itself. Tell me in the comments, has this changed how you think about it? Were you taking it? Are you going to keep taking it? I'll be reading every single response. Your brain was never going to be protected by something you could swallow once a day in isolation. It was always going to need the whole system. Now you actually know what that system is.